All right, let's talk about something that affects pretty much all of us. I'm talking about the constant, never ending battle for our attention. It feels like we're just bombarded all day, right? Notifications, emails, messages, they're all pulling us away from the stuff that actually matters. But what if there was a way to fight back, to reclaim our focus and really, truly thrive? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into. So, does this question just hit a little too close to home? You know the feeling. You spend the entire day jumping from task to task. Your to do list is a mile long, but when you finally shut your laptop, you just feel like you haven't made any real, meaningful progress. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. It's the classic feeling of our crazy, hyper connected world.
Okay, so before we can fix this, we've got to get to the root of the problem. We need to understand why our modern work environment seems almost perfectly designed to keep us distracted and, stuck doing the small stuff.
We all love to say we're great multitaskers, right? It sounds like a superpower. But here's the thing, our brains don't actually work that way. What we call multitasking is really task switching. Our brain is just frantically jumping from one thing to another, back and forth. And every single one of those switches, well, it takes a toll on your brain power. And the cost of all that switching? Oh, it's staggering. Seriously. Research has found that constantly shifting between tasks can slash your productivity by up to 40%. I mean, just stop and think about that. That's like losing almost half of your workday to, well, to nothing. That's the real price we pay for multitasking. So this constant switching, it keeps us trapped in what's called shallow work. And you know exactly what this is. It's answering emails the second they pop up, keeping one eye on Slack all day, sitting in meetings that could have been an email. You get the picture. These things keep us busy, for sure, but they don't create new value, and they definitely don't push our skills forward. Okay, so that's the problem. But the good news is there is a powerful alternative. Let's shift gears and talk about the solution. It's about cultivating a skill that's becoming incredibly rare in our distracted world. And because it's rare, it's also becoming unbelievably valuable. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. Deep work is the polar opposite of shallow work. It's the tough stuff, the kind of focus that demands all of your brain power. It's how you create new, amazing things and actually get better at what you do. And look at that last part. It's hard to replicate. And that right there is exactly what makes it a modern-day superpower. So what is deep work really? Well, here's the definition from the guy who literally wrote the book on it, Cal Newport. It's all about pushing your brain to its absolute limit, completely free from distractions. This is the state where you produce your absolute best, most creative, and most valuable work. It's not about working harder. It's about working way, way smarter on the things that actually count. Now, to get there, Newport lays out 4 rules. They're powerful, but I'll admit they're not easy. First, you've got to work deeply. Make it a real habit. Second, and this is a big one, you need to embrace boredom. Retrain your brain to resist grabbing your phone at the first hint of being understimulated. Third, quit social media, or at the very least, drastically cut back on the apps that are literally designed to break your focus. And finally, drain the shallows. You have to be ruthless about cutting out the low-value tasks to make room for the deep stuff. Now, here's where it gets really cool. When you start mastering deep work, something incredible happens. You don't just get more productive. See, deep work is the practice, and it creates the perfect conditions for the experience of flow, that amazing state of peak performance that psychologists have studied for decades. And the formula for getting into flow? It's actually beautiful in its simplicity. It happens when a really difficult challenge meets a high level of your own skill. You're not going to find flow doing something easy, like washing the dishes. Flow shows up when you are stretched to your absolute limits doing something you're actually good at. And if you've ever been in the zone, you know exactly what this feels like. Time just seems to melt away. Your own sense of self kind of fades into the background, and you are completely, totally absorbed in what you're doing. It's this almost effortless state of peak performance that just feels amazing all on its own. But the benefits here go way beyond just feeling good in the moment. Getting into a flow state on a regular basis is linked to being more resilient, having better mental well-being. It even helps guard against burnout by focusing your mind on the task at hand instead of on all your stresses and worries. Okay, so if deep work and flow offer all these incredible benefits, how do we actually do it? How do we get there more often? Let's switch from the why to the how and get super practical with a toolkit you can use to start forging your focus like today. First things first, you need a strategy that actually fits your life. The monastic approach is pretty extreme. You basically become a hermit and cut out all shallow work. The bimodal approach is about splitting your time, like maybe a few days of deep work and a few days of shallow work. But honestly, for most of us, the rhythmic approach is the way to go. You just build a consistent, daily habit of deep work at the same time every single day.
Okay, once you have a philosophy, you build a ritual around it. Find a specific place just for your deep work. Decide before you start how long you're going to focus for. And hey, even 15 minutes is a fantastic start. Then set really clear rules for yourself, like no phone, no internet. And finally, get everything you need ready to go beforehand so you have zero excuses to break your concentration.
So let's make this really concrete. Say you're scripting a video, like this one. Instead of just staring at a blank page, which is a perfect recipe for distraction, you apply these principles. You give your session structure. You could try writing the hook or the conclusion first to beat writer's block. And if you get stuck, instead of opening a new browser tab, you use productive meditation. Go for a walk, take a shower, and let your brain work on the problem in the background. It's about working intensely, but also really intelligently. All right, let's bring this all home. I want to get back to the most important idea here. In today's world, in our economy, your ability to truly focus isn't just a nice little skill to have, it is an incredibly valuable asset. And the potential upside, it is just enormous. Cal Newport estimates that if you develop a consistent, deep work practice, you can be up to 500% more productive than your distracted peers. Now that isn't just a small edge. That is a career-defining, life-changing advantage. And this quote from the psychologist who is basically the father of flow theory, it just captures the whole point perfectly. The best parts of our lives, the most satisfying moments, don't come from just kicking back and relaxing. They come when we push ourselves to our limits to do something difficult, something that's actually worthwhile.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. What great, amazing, important work is hiding just on the other side of your distractions? Thanks for tuning in.